The man just glanced at his wound on the plane, when the next second, a violent explosion hit. The cabin instantly lost pressure, and a powerful airflow blew everything away. The man tightly gripped the door, just managing to stabilize his body, and then he helplessly watched the plane plummet straight into the ocean. The seawater rushed in violently, almost knocking the man unconscious. In a critical moment, Chuck finally deployed the lifeboat, and with the buoyancy of the raft, he managed to float up to the surface of the sea, narrowly escaping danger. But in the face of huge waves, life was fragile and defenseless. He helplessly curled up in the lifeboat and could only leave his fate to chance. When he woke up, Chuck had been washed ashore. The relief and fear of surviving made him burst into tears, because after drifting at sea for so long, he found that even walking had become difficult. After crawling for a while, he finally calmed down a bit. The pager had water damage and was completely useless. Fortunately, at that moment, some packages were washed ashore by the waves. He gathered the packages and dragged the lifeboat toward the land. It was a deserted island, surrounded by endless sea. He shouted for help loudly, but received no response. So he resorted to writing a huge distress signal in the sand. But as the sun set, Chuck still hadn't received any help. Just when he was about to give up, he suddenly saw a faint flicker of light in the distance. He screamed desperately for help. But with the darkening sky in the distance, they couldn't possibly hear him. Then Chuck desperately waved a flashlight. But this tiny light still didn't catch their attention. But he refused to give up this last hope. After packing his gear through the night, he paddled a kayak toward the ship, facing the towering waves coming at him. He gritted his teeth and pressed on. But the next second, Chuck was flipped over by a massive wave, and his kayak was punctured by sharp rocks. His body was also injured in various places. The intense pain made Chuck realize his limitations in an instant, so he clung to the broken kayak and limped back to the shore. Just then, a torrential downpour began, one disaster after another, constantly testing his will to survive. Fortunately, he found shelter in a cave and was able to catch his breath for a moment. Now survival itself had become a struggle, and he could only rely on the puddles in the cave to sustain his life. But a fever triggered by his wounds, and he fainted in a daze. When Chuck woke up again, the wound on his leg had become infected. Driven by the instinct to survive, he decided to open the packages he had found, to see if there was anything useful inside. The first package contained a pair of roller skates, with ice blades on the bottom that seemed somewhat useful. The second package was a volleyball. The third package contained a formal dress. Though he couldn't wear it, the netting on the skirt seemed like it could be useful. The next package contained a cassette tape, and a divorce agreement that was completely useless. But when he reached the last package, he hesitated, because it had a design of angel wings on it. Perhaps this was his last remaining hope. After all, hope was the only thing that gave him the will to survive.